Welcome, dear Sangha, to the Jewel Ornament of Series, Commentary with Venerable Khenpo Tenzin. We'll begin in the Yellow Garchen Buddhist Institute Prayer Book on page 4 and 5 with the opening prayers. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
Tungwe tuje shajer zonro jinja mata tuje bonjong pa sirje lombo tavra jibe go shaje jarbe jard gujan zar dorjen janje de lo naro da ma ba mala chuje gambo pa pa modo ba jawan rogom ba kajula mananje da jonje danan zara domje da lama la ba la ye jiso so lo zon yan den jam sing ala ba Binzhi dongjin zhebe gele zor da zo lo chu zun zho war zin jia lab de zor chu lam den zho war zin jia lab de zo lang zho wa se war zin jia lab de zho wa yi xi zun jia war zin jia lab de zor gang ge tin jin zhe war jong ga ba me ba jie me ba chi ba me ba da me ba wa me ba zho me ba Tade domen dunje me dubanye jeje denba zoba zanje mananje damba de la zanzar do dunje zawa la maji je kuzan do je zelan do da dage julan bed dage denba da zunje je don la bojen do bar zunje la do zor many touch the lighter my brothers and sisters today continually we are going to teach and listen on the Ornament chapter I think it is 10 precepts for generating aspiring bodhicitta. So the root text it says the precepts of aspiration are summed up in 5 points to never exclude any sentient being from your attentions, to remain mindful of the benefits of bodhicitta, to gather the two accumulations, to repeatedly train in bodhicitta, and to nurture the 4 bright modes of action while abandoning the 4 dark ones. So among them, some I already explained, and today is the training repeatedly in bodhicitta. That part to explain the Fourth point, training repeatedly in bodhicitta, which constitutes the means to increase bodhicitta. Lamb for the path to awakening says, having given rise to bodhicitta as in aspiration, strive to increase it in every way. So first, let us know that bodhicitta, this is Sanskrit. Sanskrit, we call, in Sanskrit, it calls bodhicitta. But Tibetan, we call Jangchup, Jangchup, Sem. So 3 letters. So Jang means purify. Purify negative karma. So negative karma has a ground, which is grasping. So since we have grasping, then negative karma grows there. So we are going to purify grasping. So Chang means purify. What is purifying? We are going to purify self-grasping. If there is no self-grasping, then negative karma has no place. We have mountains and ground, and then snow falls there, and then the condition is cold water or cold wind, and then the snow become frozen and become thicker and thicker. Likewise, we have a ground of the negative karma, then negative karma grows from there. So that's where Jang means we are going to purify negative karma and cause of negative karma, or ground of negative karma, yeah. So which is self-grasping. Then chup means chup means having some qualities, the loving kindness, compassion, and then view, meditation, and all these profound qualities. So chup means that. And then sem. So sem means actually sem means the intrinsic awareness. Sem means real nature of our rikpa, or paramount wisdom, or innate mind. So these 3 letters explain whole dharma. These 3 letters explains all dharma. So how to explain? Actually, dharma include 3 baskets. Maybe you frequently heard that from masters, yeah, dharma masters. So these we call 3 baskets, but some say it's 3 collections of 3 collections of sutara. So first is upasaka, vinaya. This part are they mentioned lots of rules and regulations. Don't allow to do that, don't do that, and this. So which means Jang means purify. Then Mahayana is chop means means Mahayana. Mahayana means that our mind is already like empty space, but grasping is like a small vase. So we make a small vase, and then inside has small space. Likewise, our mind is a boundless space, like a boundless space, but grasping makes small. That's where grasping makes it very small. That's where chop means it make boundless, make it boundless. So chop means like that. We think we generate compassion to bodhicitta. We think all mother sentient beings. When we think all mother sentient beings, our mind becomes immeasurable loving kindness. Immeasurable. So then Sem means Sem. Actually, Sem is our Buddha nature. So if I explain a little bit one by one, actually first bodhicitta is how important bodhicitta. Up after my word of my perfect teacher, how to say, writer of this, he said that if you have if you don't have bodhicitta, then you have no way to attain Buddhahood. And if you have bodhicitta mind, then you don't want more than that thing to attain Buddhahood. So bodhicitta is very important very important thing to attain Buddhahood. We attain Buddhahood means we liberate from suffering. That's all, yeah. So then, Sem means actually Sem is Sem means mind. Yeah, mind is actually we have to know that mind is as Kunshin Lungchenpa said, this mind is, if we don't if we look at the mind, this is very naked. Our mind is naked. Naked means, for example, right now we are wearing different clothes. It is kind of artificial because it covered our real body. Yeah. Likewise, thoughts covered our mind. But if we look at the ordinary mind, it is naked. That means the real mind is relaxing, no thoughts. Our mind is not thought. But then we look at our mind. This is naked. And then we meditate means we frequently look at it or watch it, and then what will we gain experience is we gain the experience of clarity. So clarity means in the night, if we look at this, look somewhere, we can't see anything. But in the daytime, we look at everywhere, we can see everything. So that's where we frequently look at our mind, and then the subject of this mind become clearer and clearer. If we look at the other phenomena, and then for example, oh, this is good, this is beautiful, this is not good, kind of these thoughts arises in the mind, and then we follow them, and then this suffering occurs, problem occurs. But if we look at the mind, then these thoughts spontaneously dissolve into the mind. Like ocean's waves, doesn't matter how big them, but after they moved, and then they dissolve into the ocean again. Likewise, when we look at our mind, all thoughts dissolve into the mind. At that moment, our meditation is become, how to say, our realization is increasing. So all dharma are included. Jangchuk Sem. So that's where these three letters are very important. But then these three letters are important. Then how to progressive, how to improve, how to develop this bodhicitta. Then it mentions this striving should be understood as applying to three areas of activity. 1. Training in the attitude that gives rise to bodhicitta. 2. Training in bodhicitta itself. And 3. Training in the attitude related to bodhisattva conduct. Number 1, the training that gives rise to bodhicitta is always be disposed to loving kindness and compassion toward sentient beings, or at least to engender such a thought once every watch of the day. Since we received Bodhisattva's vow, at least once a day we try to practice on bodhicitta. 3. Training in bodhicitta itself is to nurture in intention longing to attain enlightenment, so as to be able to benefit beings. This should be the subject of contemplation during the 3 periods of the day and the 3 periods of the night. Alternatively, the longer bodhisattva ritual can be performed, or else, at a minimum, the following prayer, recommended by the great Atisha, can be recited once every watch of the day. I take refuge in the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Supreme Community. Until my attainment of enlightenment through engaging in generosity and so forth, may I achieve Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So here this is during the 3 periods of the day and the night period of the 3 periods of the night, contemplate on the bodhicitta. So some may don't know how to contemplate, and if it doesn't clear in your mind, then you recite this Atisha made I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, this part. So this is the how to say, verse of generating bodhicitta and also refuge, because there it mentions Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So that's why everything include this verse. Everyone recite this. Actually, daytime, someone has a daily prayer, very thick books. Some may not have thick books, but at least if you are Buddhist, you must recite, at least you recite these 3 times, once a day. One day, each day, 3 times. They have different translators. Here I translate that I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Community until my attainment of enlightenment through engaging in generosity and so forth. May I achieve Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. If one already memorized in our open prayer book, it mentioned in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, most something like that. So whichever is easy for you, no, you recite that. During the moment of your recitation, you generate bodhicitta. So generate bodhicitta. This is very important. It is like you are in very night. In the actually in 29th of Tibetan calendar, 29th there is no moonlight. Yeah, so it's very dark. So you have flashlight. So you turn on this flashlight and goes with someone. You help to your friends. This flashlight you turn on. You turned on that for helping your friend, but at the same time you can walk forward with your friends. It's very similar. When you generate bodhicitta for benefit of all beings, it benefits all beings, and it benefits yourself. It benefits to you. So right now we are not Buddha yet in the relative truth. So still we are going to expect our benefit. So that's where how bodhicitta benefit to us is like that. Then training in the attitude related to bodhisattva conduct is twofold. One, developing the willingness to work for the benefit of others, and developing the intention to purify the mind. Yeah. So bodhicitta has two functions or two things. So one, help others, and it purifies our thoughts. Bodhicitta is like nectar. So nectar, when we get nectar, if we eat nectar, then what happens? It purifies our illness in our body, and it benefits us to long life. So have long life. That's where bodhicitta is like a nectar. The first of these means dedicating body positions and whatever virtues have been established in the three times to the service of others and their happiness. It implies cultivating a willingness to give. Second, developing the intention to purify the mind involves constant examination of personal conduct, as well as the elimination of afflictions and harmful actions. So actually, bodhicitta practitioners, suddenly we cannot gain the realization of selflessness. Or I have no self. So I don't want a house, I don't want a friend, I don't want clothes and food. We cannot say that. Sometimes clothes and food are also a good thing for us, because Buddha said that if one has food, one has a body. One has a body, one has a dharma. So that's where food are important. Healthy foods are very important. Even Buddha taught how to eat food. Honestly, I can't do that exactly that, but because habit, it's negative habit is very strong. I eat so fast. I have this habit. Many people said eat slowly, but I can't. Then we eat so fast, it's effect to stomach. So then it's hard to digest. Otherwise, Buddha taught that when you eat, chew slowly and focus attention there, and chew very well, but not out loud, not open the mouth and something like that. So whatever Buddha taught, each and every single word of Buddha is combined with bodhicitta. That's where it has great benefit. Combined or some, however, his words comes from Bodhisattva's mind. So we always try to benefit others and then benefit ourselves through practice of bodhicitta. So what I try to say is we certainly cannot purify our self-grasping, but we are going to reduce. This is a very important. This is a good sign. Even a long-term practitioner or short-time practitioner, doesn't matter. We can figure out a little bit the practitioner. Even one has a very higher view or lower view. This is also an invisible thing. It's quite difficult. We can say, we can judge some has a higher view, some has no higher view. But the real thing is grasping. Practice Dharma means try to reduce grasping and purify it, That's where when we look at someone, actually we don't want to judge others, but person is happy person or not. This is also very much makes sense through their grasping. Have a strong grasping, then there is less chance to keep happiness. So if grasping reduced, the mind has like a warmness. In the mind has a warmness. So then these less grasping people are great people, so we can rejoice them. And strong grasping people, when we see or feel like that, we generate compassion towards them, because we all inherently same. We all have Buddha nature, and in another hand, we all same because we all samsaric being, and then we have a special relation, so we generate compassion towards them, and then share method, share our experience, how to reduce these sufferings. We try to liberate them from suffering. These are our responsibilities because of we are Buddhist Chitta practitioners. To explain the fifth point, abandoning the four dark actions and nurturing the four bright ones, which constitutes the means for not forgetting bodhicitta. Lame for the path to awakening says, to remember these is other lives as well. Carefully observe the precepts thus explained. It's a so if we became familiar on bodhicitta, even right now you heard bodhicitta, and when you recite the 37 way of a bodhisattva's life, also it mentions lots of about bodhicitta. It has great benefit. For instance, sometimes we have that experience. We just stay near the waterfall, and the sound is very loud, and then we later goes away from this waterfall. Still in our mind has some imprinting of this sound. Likewise, we frequently mention about bodhicitta, then it make great imprint in our mind. So then where are these precepts explained? The Kashayapa chapter Sutara states the following with respect to the four dark actions. For instance, actually, Kashayapa is Buddha's oldest monk, full ordained monk. So it has a sweet story. Probably one day I will share you. It has some story. I thought that is a sweet story. Kashayapa. Sutara stated following with respect to the four dark actions. For instance, Kashayapa, a bodhisattva possessing these four things will forget his bodhicitta. What are these four? They are, to summarize them, the four dark actions are: 1. To deceive a guru or person worthy of receiving offerings. Actually, deceive a guru means deceive ourselves. In the Kundazambo, there are few Kundazambos. Maybe you heard this first time, perhaps. So inner Kundazambo is awareness, intrinsic awareness. So intrinsic awareness is our guru. External guru is then person who gave us empowerment, path instructions, and explain these Vajrayana and Sutrayana teachings. Yeah. But in the reality, their mind and your intrinsic awareness are same. That's why outer guru and the inner guru are same, means like that. Where is the inner guru? Inner guru is in your mind. So now how you deceive it is you don't practice bodhicitta. You totally act opposite of bodhicitta. This is actually deceive by yourself. And then external deceive means one deceive one's guru for temporary benefits. Guru needs you. Disciples have to practice bodhicitta and so benefit for others. But then disciples try to benefit oneself and don't benefit others. That is kind of deceive. And then there are many ways of deceiving. So, and then worthy of receiving offerings. Second, to cause others to regret actions that should not be regretted. It's very important. Regretted means someone practice dharma, and then one is not very higher scholar on this dharma, or have the experience is not perfect experience, and through this way say something, and others these great practitioners then regret, oh, I did tell no, this is wrong. So this, if one has make like that, one makes like this, then this is also cause of the this is also obstacle of one's bodhicitta. Then 3, to speak improperly to a bodhisattva, that is the one who has taken the vow. And so actually the sound is in the Vajrayana way, we say all sounds are mantra. This is very true. All sound, essence of all the sounds are ah. Without ah, there is no sound. Or in the ah is the talk about ah more in the Zopa Chimbo. In the Mahamudra way mentioned more hong. So also all sound has hong if you listen carefully. Even harsh word or dogs bark or other birds sound, every sound, even fans and every sound has a hong. So all sounds consecrated by hong, sound of hong. So if some says, oh, I cannot hear the sound of a mantra. Some say that, but you first artificial, how to say, artificially make it. You create that sound. First, you hear sound, just a general, ordinary sound, and your mind makes it says hong hong hong, and then you listen carefully. You've well found the nature of sound. So nature of sound is mantra. It mentions hong hong. So then this why ordinary sounds are not important. Hong is very important. This is a big question. I think maybe you have that question. Because we are going to attain Buddhahood, means we have three Vajras. Vajra of wind, Vajra of channel, Vajra of nada or this nada or this kundali. Yeah. So we are not talking about the kundali first. We are talking about Vajra of channel. So usually we say chakras. It's talking obviously, not talks, real things. The real chakras are hong. That's very known in many the text. They have sound is like a Tibetan language, but letter is very similar, like this Sanskrit. They put those things. Are however this hong and and om, the channels we call notes of channels, but they have like this the shape is like these mantras. So then when we recite hong, at that moment these channels start to open. Actually we say untied. The notes of channels untied. Notes of channels are untied. How to? There are questions, but the main thing is wisdom wind can go through this way, because when you say hong, at that time your this lower body has the fire like wisdom wind. So these comes to the through your throat. So from throat combined with the different thoughts, and then it comes to your tongue and the palate. They works together. Then hong is sound of hong comes out. That's where through your channels, movement, wisdom wind, and then your mind automatically clear, pure. So this about the channels. The three vajras means vajra of channel, vajra of the wind. So they are function, they are work. Then it has it greatly benefit to us. When wisdom wind the movement through our body, then whoever get our speech, it benefit others. Example. If there's a water pip, there goes clean water, like a mineral waters. Then whoever get this water, it benefit their health, for their health. Likewise, this then it's this clean water and exact water does not damage the pip or something like that. Otherwise, if there goes some lots of impure water like dirt and a piece of glasses or something, everything going through the pips, then it damage pip, and then whoever drink this the water, it damage their body and their health. So that's where yeah. And then to speak properly, speak. The main thing is when we speak to our guru who gave us Bodhisattvas a vow, and we are going to speak with them properly. So main thing, it benefit to us. When we speak properly and respect to our gurus, then there is a benefit. the gurus, honestly, they don't expect them because they come to help us. They otherwise they can stay in the pure land. They can stay pure land with Amitabha Buddha. In the Sukhavati prayer says it can fly, morning can fly east, afternoon can fly back in the west. Amitabha's pure land, which means not through like an airplane or not like the luggage checks. No need all of these things. They're just using the power of the samadhi and they fly. When they fly, sometimes cold water, sometimes hot water, cold wind, sometimes hot weather. They don't have this problem. They just stay into the center of lotus or petals. And then also they have many dakas and dakinis around of them 24/7. They would like to watch the dance and listen songs, everything. Right now we have for some they are represent of them, but these are also comes from good karma. But in the reality, gurus can stay Amitabha pure lands. They have freedom because they liberated from the grasping and dualistic perceptions. So that's why they do not expect some the polite words and so forth. But when we do that, then slowly we become habits that we become familiar. We will become familiar that. So that's where it's then start to arise over Buddha nature from our mind. Then for to cheat or I think it's deceive or deef. I think it's deceive, yeah. This is DEEV. I think deceive any thinking beings. So deceive or any thinking beings means actually bodhisattvas. There is a say deceive means usually we have to we recite these sadhanas and we meditate. Always try to think benefit others. We motivate benefit to others. Then we not deceive. That means we are not deceiving. We are not deceive. But if we doing something, all dedication are oneself, everything doing oneself, it is deceive. That means we forget other thinking beings. The four bread action are also taught in that same sutara. Kashayapa, should a bodhisattva possess these four, then in the all future lives, bodhicitta will definitely manifest from birth onward. Without any interruption, that bodhicitta will never be forgetting until enlightenment is attained. What are these four? They are, to summarize the four, they are 1. Never knowingly to tell lies, even should it cost your life. 2nd, to establish all beings in virtue and further to establish them in the Mahayana virtue. 3. To consider a bodhisattva, meaning one who has taken the vow, as being the teacher, the enlightened one, and to proclaim that person's qualities in every quarter, and 4. To constantly abide within a noble disposition of mind, free of pretense and deceit toward any sentient beings. any sentient being. Yeah. So this never knowingly to tell lies. These are two things. Okay. In there are many stories in the Vinaya text, Sutara. So never lie for oneself. This meaning is that for benefit of one's benefit, but benefit of others sometimes it's allowed. For example, there is a story, but I will not talk about story. The example is if there is one deer, one rabbit. This rabbit, one person has to kill that rabbit. So this rabbit runs away in front of you, and then next person carries arrow and then look at this rabbit, and rabbit goes this way, and you see that rabbit, you saw that rabbit, and then this next the hunter comes here and asks, did you see the rabbit? Probably you can say no. It is lie, little bit lie, but it because you protect of this rabbit. But you don't motivate the I'm going to kill this and I'm going to eat the rabbit. That's why I say I didn't see it. This is no virtue. But for protecting this life of a rabbit, you can say no. Or you can say this rabbit go this way and then let this person go that way. So kind of this is fun. Okay, so that's where sometimes we have to know that. So Venerable also said, the scholar's lie is cause of happiness for others. Foolish people's honest thinking is harsh word to the peoples. Venerable song said that. Really. Sometimes one say, I'm very honest person, whatever I thought I say, and then it destroy to others' mind. That's why Venerable said that. Then we have to apply our paramajor wisdom. Then we can do all actions are related over our actions over all of our actions are related virtues. Yeah. Okay. I will now explain the first dark action and its opposite, bright action. If with an intention to deceive, you have actually been deceitful toward anyone worthy of offerings, meaning a guru in about, a preceptor, or a person who is an object of your giving, the bodhisattva vow is broken. Unless you do something to remedy the fault within a single watch of the day, it does not matter whether or not the person knew he or she was being deceived, whether or not the deception caused displeasure, whether it was a major or minor deception, or whether or not the deceit actually worked. Whatever the case, the vow is broken. The remedy to this is the first bright action. The vow is broken. So actually, you some maybe I receive kind of these questions frequently. Oh, I break my bodhisattva vow, so then they thought, then since from that time cannot practice anything or something like that. In the reality, bodhisattva's vow never break. We have to know it has a special quality. It is like a water. Water sometimes can be frozen, but it will melt again. So bodhisattva vow we can forget. That's where we are going to apply mindfulness. We don't want to forget it. So some children, very young, 4 or 5 years, they have a special love in their mind. Nobody taught them because in their previous lives they practiced bodhicitta. That's where they have this. Whatever the case, the remedy to this is first bright action. But then you asked me, maybe you have a question. Whatever the case, the vow is broken. Why it is broken? Broken means sometimes we use that broken. This word is for forgetting, or we become how to say. For example, ants has ants has waist, yeah, but they have a very tiny waist. Sometimes we call the without waist animal. So like that, where this bodhisattva vow actually has no inherently not broken, because inherently it is ultimate altruistic mind, altruistic bodhicitta, so our Buddha nature. So that's where it always remains with us. The remedy to this is first bright action, which is in all circumstances to avoid the intentional telling of untruths, even should that put your life at risk. So that's where Lord Jigten Sungu said. Some also say, oh, the Buddha's bhumi. However, Buddha has no bodhicitta. Many says that, but Lord Jigten Sungu says Buddha has also aspiration and engaged bodhicitta. That's where bodhicitta means Buddha's nature. Even should that put your life at risk. The second dark action occurs in relation to the virtues, actions of others. It involves trying to make them feel remorseful by stirring up notions of regret for the good they have done. In the case of generosity, we could take the giver as an example. Although that person did a good deed, someone else may try to stir up regret by saying that in days to come to loss of resource caused by the generosity will leave the giving hungry and a beggar, and then what will he do? If this dark action is not remedied within a watch of the day, the bodhisattva vow has been broken, whether or not the person actually does regret the deed. The remedy for this is the second bright action, to establish all beings in virtue, and in particular in Mahayana virtue. The third dark action occurs through anger and hatred and involves the talking about the faults of someone who has taken the bodhisattva vow. They may be ordinary faults or dharma fallings addressed directly to the person or indirectly, and it could be done in a pleasant or unpleasant way. Whether or not the bodhisattva concerned is disturbed by what has been said, the bodhisattva vow is broken unless this is remedied within a watch of the day. The remedy is the third bright action, to conceive of anyone who has taken the bodhisattva vow just as you would conceive of a Buddha and to let their qualities be known everywhere. The fourth dark action entails intentionally trying to deceive anyone at all, unless remedied within a watch of the day. This will break the bodhisattva vow. Whether or not the person is aware of the deception and whether or not any actual harm is done, the remedy is the fourth bread action to act always with the noblest intentions toward beings. This means intending to benefit them without self-interest. So, loving kindness, we have a golden opportunity to practice loving kindness. Because we see these many beings are suffering in front of our eyes, and we can hear many sufferings through our ears, and we ourselves experience the sufferings, problems. So that's where we understand everything. Sometimes we say precious human life. It does not mean always some good thing. Sometimes it mentioned bad things, which means we are suffering. But we know this suffering. And then we understand how to remove this suffering. That's where we have precious human life. Yeah. So through these teachings, gave us some methods how to remove those sufferings and how to improve happiness. So that's why we also we have this our Buddha nature is bodhicitta, like a sun's warmth. The sun's light is like sun's light or sun's ray is like a wisdom is like sun's ray, and the sun's warmness is bodhicitta is like a sun's warmness. The sun's ray, sun's warmness, and then the sun is our Buddha nature. So the sun is like our Buddha nature. So these three things are inseparably remain together. Likewise, our bodhicitta, Buddha nature, and paramoja wisdom are inseparably remain together in our body. Right now we can say in our body. So usually we say in our body, like for example, you ask where is the sun, we should say in the sky or in the space. Likewise, where is our mind? Our mind are in our bodies. So but then we go more deep. If we research more, research deeply, then there is our mind is not exist inside of our body and outside of our body. But this is during the ultimate level how we explain. But in relative level or truth, in the relative truth, our minds are in our bodies. This concludes the 10th chapter on how to develop aspiration bodhicitta of this ornament of a precious liberation, a wish-fulfilling gem of sublime dharma. Okay, then we are mentioned about how to say finished talk about the bodhicitta part, and then new chapter 11, presentation of the 6 perfections. 6 perfections, yeah. The precepts related to engaged bodhicitta are threefold. One, higher training in moral discipline. Two, higher training applying the mind, i.e. meditation. And three, higher training in wisdom. In this respect, Lem for the path to awakening says, actually we can mention the wisdom and paramoja awareness has little different. This Milarepa mentioned the 10 perfections. So 6 is the wisdom, and ninth is paramoja wisdom. Lem for the path of awakening says, those who abiding with the vow of engaged bodhicitta having correctly trained in the three aspects of moral discipline will greatly depend their appreciation of those three trainings. The higher training in moral discipline consists of three: generosity, discipline, and forbearance. The higher training in mind consists of meditative concentration, and the higher training in wisdom consists of profound wisdom. As for diligence, it serves as a complementary factor to all three trainings. The Ornament of Mahayana Sutara says, the victorious one has most perfectly explained the 6 perfections in terms of the 3 trainings. The first 3 are the first training. The last 2 are the last 2, while one diligence applies to all 3. Actually, the diligence is enthusiasm. So we have interesting to benefit others. This is the best. So 6 perfection, the principal thing is diligence. Actually, without diligence we cannot practice generosity, we cannot practice discipline perfection, we cannot practice forbearance perfection, and of course concentration or meditation and wisdom are very much related. Diligence. So enthusiasm is very important. Right now you are you have the enthusiasm in Dharma. That's why that's why you have lots of things to do, and still you join teachings, and you take time, take your precious time to practice, and also you have the money is very important. So if you work in the cities and the restaurant and so forth, you will gain some money, but you dedicate, and you dedicate these precious things and precious times, but you come to the practice Dharma. That is because of your diligence, power of your diligence. Your power of diligence draw. So that's where diligence is very important. Especially we need diligence on bodhicitta, on or in bodhicitta, practice bodhicitta. Okay, so bodhicitta, you practice bodhicitta. First, you hear about bodhicitta, and slowly you will experience. And then you have a more enthusiasm in bodhicitta. You will experience some qualities of bodhicitta. Oh, bodhicitta is like this, really. I really want it. I really need to practice this. It benefits to others, So tell no, through bodhicitta, all Buddhas can benefit all beings through their bodhicitta. And all bodhisattvas also can benefit through their bodhicitta, and our practitioners benefit others through our bodhicitta. And then, of course, it benefits ourselves. That I already mentioned a little bit on there. Thus, the synopsis for this chapter is the following. Training in engaged bodhicitta can be summarized as sixfold: generosity, moral discipline, forbearance, diligence, meditative, concentration, and wisdom. Again, if it is not too much repeat for you, the 6 perfections are special way to keep bodhicitta, special method to improve bodhicitta, special way to practice bodhicitta. So that's where these 6 perfections are extremely important. So I don't have more experience about other religions, but what I hear and what I see is many practitioners, non-Buddhist practitioners, they also practice some of them. Through this way, it's more respect. I don't mean this. They are practice dharma, part of dharma, so respect. So I'm respecting to them. It does not mean that, but these perfections greatly benefit to others and oneself. That's why it's really great things. And then in this case, it's together, one practice. Actually, in the one, if we take care of a flower, there is gathering these 6 perfections. You do water. This is the practice of generosity. And you do water flower is also you have to bring water and pull. This is a work. So not easy every day to do that. So, but then you do this. This is actually the diligence. And especially you love to do water, or love to water the flower. It's diligence. And then you do exactly water. Some flower don't want many water. Some flowers need more water. So you do exactly. That means discipline. Discipline. And then sometimes you do water those things, but you take care, but still flowers getting, the colors are changed or something. This still you practice forbearance, So when you do water, for example, don't pull outside, and you don't do hot water. All of you do through your concentration, through your concentration. This is the meditation. And then you know how much water this flower need, what time, morning or afternoon. In the summer, how many water do they need? And winter, how many water do they need? You understand this we call wisdom. That's where if you do water for flower, it has 6 perfections. And you eat one bowl of food, there is 6 perfections. So in the questions of Subbehu Sutara 2, it says, Sobihu is named, yeah. For a great bodhisattva to quickly achieve real and perfect enlightenment, the 6 perfections must be applied constantly and in all circumstances until their utter completion. What are those 6? They are the perfection of generosity, the perfection of moral discipline, the perfection of forbearance, the perfection of diligence, the perfection of meditative concentration, and the sixth, the perfection of wisdom. One should understand these six perfections in two ways. One, through a summarized explanation, or in overview, treating them as a group. And two, through the detailed explanation of the individual perfections. First, to present the summary, the synopsis is this. The six perfections are summarized through six topics: the definite number, definite order, essential characteristics, etymology, subdivisions, and groupings. First, their definite number is 6. In terms of a higher state of rebirth and liberation, there are 3 conducive to higher rebirth and 3 conducive to liberation. Of the 3 that lead to a higher state, the perfection of generosity nurtures material prosperity. The perfection of moral discipline nurtures a good physical existence, and the perfection of forbearance nurtures a favorable environment. So actually, we are practicing Dharma. It's not always. If we think, it's always think for benefit, enlightenment, to attain Buddhahood or thinking next life. This is wonderful, but sometimes we have to know Dharma greatly benefit in this life. So your generosity, you practice generosity, and you receive many monies and so forth. For example, if you ask some donations, some organizations, they ask some donations, and then people give a lot. How the people give a lot, give lots? How? Why? Sorry, why? Because people know you can benefit others, poor peoples and so forth, and other animals. There's a one beggar, and he or she very hungry, cold, thirsty, then ask some food or money. They got very few. But you say, I need some helper, and I'm going to help others, like some dogs, or I'm going to help some discipline. Some has some legs and arms doesn't work. Disable. Then or some like a place has a natural disasters, and then people donate it voluntarily. They donate it. Yeah. So these then let us know. Then how practice generosity, again, material things. These things are proof. And then especially in previous lives, if one practiced generosity greatly, perfection greatly, then this life, without hard work, but have a lot of money and other wealth. Someone lots of things to do to gain some wealth, but they could not. So which means it's related in previous lives they did not practice generous perfection. And by the way, generosity and generosity perfection has big difference. That lets you know. Perfection comes from wisdom. So when you practice generosity, if you are not hope, I receive something back, or through this way I will become famous. So if you have these expectations, this is generosity practice, but hard to say perfection. Generosity of perfection. Perfection means the best thing is actually that you don't have a fixation your material things, and also you don't have a fixate those your motivations on anything. Through we recognize the emptiness. If you practice generosity, then this practice is combined with wisdom. That's where it is perfection, generosity of perfection. But if one cannot recognize emptiness, then practice generosity through compassion, loving kindness. Then it's also wonderful. Uh, so usually here says higher realms through practice three what are them? Practice generosity, practice forbearance, practice discipline. The result is you will reborn in higher realms. This is talking about next life. Right now you are in higher realm, so we are in higher realm. But it isn't talking only about next life. We have to know higher realm means long life, happy life, healthy life, and wealthy life, and beautiful, handsome, and having lovely friends, nice environment. So those things come from these three things: generosity, discipline, forbearance. So we are traveling different places. So that's where some from bad place can come to the good place. So this is the result of these perfections. Some from good place to go to the bad place. Bad place means they have lots of problems, sufferings, and then one also suffering because of, usually we say, because of karma. So karma means not individually something. Karma means this is three perfections you practice well on this three perfections, then you can come from bad place to good place, and you will able to separate from bad friends, and you will find good friends. And you will have so in some has maybe around 10 to 20 years old have some lots of problems, obstacles. After 20 years later, their life is increased, which means they have no suffering, no problems, everything going well, it's accomplished, everything. All of these things are related, these three perfections. And then other this two wisdom and this what is called this the wisdom and concentration. These are also related this life too. Actually, it says attain Buddhahood, because once practice going well, realizations increase like a waxing moon. Even it's very quickly realize the natural state of mind. Some have taken long time to recognize them. Some quickly understand the natural state of mind. So everything is related, these six perfections. So not always think it benefit. Actually, Dharma, most of the time we hear that, me too, I heard that Dharma benefit next life, next life. So then our mind has Dharma only benefit for next life. It doesn't seems it doesn't benefit this life. That's what we have kind of in our mind. But in real, we practice, learn, and share, and through this way, we can understand Dharma. Its benefit is really inconceivable. Of course, next life and this life both. So if we understand this value and this beneficial or this benefiting, maybe beneficial of Dharma, then some says you are stopped to practice Dharma. We can't. If I say you stop to drink water, maybe you can stop 1 week, 2 week, maybe 1 month, and then you can't because your body even can't accept that. Likewise, so if we don't see the value or benefit of Dharma, then how much times we try to say something, it's hard to accept these things. This is human nature. It's not a mistake, but it's human nature. So that's when the main thing is how to introduce. How to introduce means if there's not benefit something and then make, or there are some benefit, try to make exaggeration, how to say, make artificially make something, it's not good. But one come into the Dharma and practice there, and in one's life, own life or one's life, also have some benefit, some experienced some benefit, and then confidently we can share this. So we have to say that it benefit like this. Even in the Dharma said, if one gets sick, still happy. In the Je Gutsangpa, the Drukpa Kaju's great master, he said that, and though this human life is how to say, pledged by the torments of falling ill, don't think that is bad. Don't plan to get around it. Then it will be you badge your proof of conduct of equal test. Your sufferings not to be shunned. It's basically good. So sometimes usually we say sickness is not good and suffering are not good. But through Dharma methods, Je Gutsangpa, why we call Gutsangpa? Why do we call him Gutsangpa? Gutsangpa means vulture's nest. Vulture's nest, where is vulture's nest? Vulture's nest, yeah? Home. The vulture's nest in the mountain area, very, very top mountain. So there's no cars, no the restaurant, no shopping centers. But he stayed there. He commitment until gain realization I should be like a vulture. Whenever I gain the realization I should become like a vulture, which means I can fly everywhere. So that's where he at that time, doctors are not with him, nurses are not with him, and he has no choice to eat some healthy food. He has no choice to drink like a mineral water or something like that. So he meditated in the cave there. Of course that he has physical problem, elements, the problems, because the elements are unbalanced. But his power of the meditation, power of the mind, every problems become fortunate. So these things has dharma, so it doesn't always waiting for next life. If we really do those things. And then often I mentioned that Malarepa is stay in the mountain area no friends. Milarepa is the top of a homeless person, but he 24/7 he sing a song. Now we see his songs are how melodious, how beautiful. Even at one song, we listen to one song, goosebumps, and how powerful. Everything's are in the Dharma. If we practice, we bring those benefits. So that's where when introduced, it's very important. Only we share and introduce that Buddha, we will become Buddha or some beyond of this life we're talking. Then many people don't know about these things, and then many people hard to practice Dharma. So that's where we all have the responsibility, because it does not mean we are going to make a large number of Buddhism or Buddhists, but we love all mother thinking beings. If we love all mother thinking beings, for example, we love our siblings, our parents, and then we try to help them, yeah? Likewise, we love all mother thinking beings, or there are some good things we bring and put them. Shakyamuni Buddha love us, that's where sometimes, that's where he brought these wonderful things. Even he became enlightened, and then he just stopped to nothing to teach about this. It's fun for him. But he taught 84,000 scriptures. Many Arhatis did that. That let us know. Many Arhatis, when Buddha passed away, they passed away. They did not teach. They did not teach Dharma. They did not benefit others. Sorry to say that. Even Buddha, after there's one thing, one Arhat there. He, when Buddha was there, he followed Buddha, he received the Buddha's teaching and he practiced. And he became Arhat. And actually it says he went to the God's realm. He stayed there. And then after Buddha passed away, and then Ananda and those Kashayapa, they try to collect these Buddha's teachings into the books, volumes, and they invited him. Please come here to help us. He said, oh, Buddha passed away, so now I'm going to pass away. He has freedom. He has the kind of this power. So many Arhatis stay in the mountainside, and then they attain their nirvana and nothing to teach. So actually, we have to, when we share to the others, because we love all mother thinking beings, that's where we are going to study, we are going to meditate, we are going to practice, and then we are going to share for helping others. Many people have lots of sufferings. Sometimes they lost their loved ones. They are almost like suicide or something like this. They have lots of problems. At that time, we mentioned, we are learning Buddhism is not for well-known oneself, become well-known oneself. We are learning how much you have knowledge, still should learn for what? For benefit others. Everybody has only one problem, then we learn only one word, it's okay. Yeah? There are like 5 fingers. So different people has different problems. Even one person, last year one problem, this year another problem, next year different problems. So how to solve these problems, which text mention about the method of solving these problems, then we are going to learn. This is a Bodhisattva's action. Bodhisattva's action. So we have to know these things. Otherwise, sometimes we have a little misunderstanding. Of course, the Dharma means almost nothing to do something. Dharma means tame one's own mind. Tame on one's mind means not punish our mind, or one's mind. Make happy. Tame one's mind means make happy mind. Keep happy mind. Especially when has some engaged, some facing problems. Try to solve these problems and then help others. We all have the same mind. Same mind. Our mind are same. Our mind are same, that's why our elements are same. That's where we have same experience, So the higher rebirth and the three conducive to liberation of the three that lead to higher states. The perfection of generosity nurtures material prosperity. The perfection of moral discipline nurtures a good physical existence. And the perfection of forbearance nurtures a favorable environment. Of the three that lead to liberation, the perfection of diligence nurtures increase of qualities. The perfection of meditative concentration nurtures tranquility, samadhi, or shamatha. And the perfection of wisdom, the pranjana paramita, nurtures profound insight, vipassana. The ornament of Mahayana Sutara says, higher states, the best possible prosperity, body and retinue. Second, the perfections occur in a definite order. First, there is the order in which they develop within the mental continuum of a person. Generosity enables proper conduct without concern for material well-being. Possessing moral discipline, forbearance can be cultivated. Through forbearance, diligence is enabled. Through diligence, meditative concentration can be developed. The mind that rests skillfully in meditative concentration will know properly the true nature of phenomena, just as it is. Alternatively, the order of sequence could be considered in terms of the gradual progression from lesser to higher. The lesser are those explained first, and those founded in what is noble are explained subsequently. Or the order of sequence relates to the gradual progression from the proser to the subtler, subtler, sorry. That which is grosser is easier to engage in and is thus presented earlier, while those that are subtler, because of their being more difficult to engage in, are presented later. In this regard, the ornament of Mahayana Sutara says, the latter arises on the base of what comes before, and since some are inferior and others superior, some grosser and others subtler, they abide in their respective sequence. The third point concerns the four essential characteristics of bodhisattva generosity and the other perfections. 1. They diminish the strength of the unfavorable force. 2. They enable the arising of a pristine awareness, utterly free of concepts. 3. They bring perfect accomplishment of aspirations. And 4. They bring sentient beings to their full maturity in 3 ways of the vehicles. The ornament of Mahayana Sutara says of these: generosity, crucial, unfavorable force, bring non-conceptual, pristine awareness, perfectly fulfills all wishes, and bring beings to maturity in 3 ways. The 4th point relates to the etymology of the perfections. Since it clears away suffering, it is generosity. Since it is the attainment of coolness, it is moral discipline. Since it copies with what would cause anger, it is forbearance. Since it is application to the which is sublime, it is diligence. Since it keeps the mind turned inward, it is the meditative concentration. And since it calls awareness of that which is ultimate and meaningful, it is wisdom. Since all of them transport one from samsara to the far shore, namely to nirvana, they are referred to as. What leads to the far shore? Paramita. In this regard, the ornament of Mahayana Sutara states, since through them one eliminates poverty, obtains coolness, forbears, wrath, connects with the supreme goal, retains the mind, and knows the ultimate, they are thus turned. The 5th point concerns the 6 subdivisions. Within each of the perfections, the generosity of generosity, the moral discipline of generosity, and so forth, thus giving rise to 36 subdivisions. So this part I already mentioned. We water a flower, there are 6 perfections. So, and the generosity only has also 6 perfections. So this this last sentence of verse of 37th way of Bodhisattva, it says the 3 ciphers are non-exist. So, for example, you give the object first I is non-exist. You recognize that, and then the things, whatever you give, that things is also simplicity, non-exist, emptiness. And then where you give, this is very ordinary beings, poor, something like, not like this. Best thing is this, that person, this object, and yourself are same into emptiness. This is a very, very higher level. If you are little comes down, you are like an illusory body. These objects are illusory body, and this person is also illusory form. And through this way, you generate compassion. Through this way, you generate compassion, and then give this. This is a kind of a middle level. And then actually it's funny to say last, very lower, but it's for the sake of make sense. Then you think, I am really, I have really suffering, have problems. So I'm learning from my problems, and I really uh, have to benefit that person. And then through this motivation, you give something to other beings. This is also how to practice. So most of us, we are practice like this way, and so which make more sense. You are that level, so that's why if it says through emptiness we are going to generous. If you are hard to understand about this, then you generate bodhicitta, ordinary bodhicitta, compassion, and then practice generosity. When you generosity also nicely, respectfully, this is a discipline. You love to practice generosity. It is diligence, and you arise compassion continuously. It is concentration. Then you understand that person has suffering, and you understand that this object to solve this problem. This is your wisdom. Then whatever you give, this is generosity. Yeah. So that's where when we practice this, if we practice through the 6 perfections, then there is no doubt that virtues will become cause of enlightenment or not. For sure, it will. It is cause of enlightenment. The 6 perfections, generosity, and so forth, each subdivided into 6 in terms of each other, and as being in armor-like complete means of attainment. The 6th point examines their groupings. They fall into 2 groups based on the 2 accumulations. Generosity and moral discipline belong to the accumulation of merit. Wisdom belongs to the accumulation of pristine awareness. Forbearance, diligence, and meditative concentration belong to both. Thus, the ornament of Mahayana Sutara says, generosity and moral discipline belong to the accumulation of merit, while wisdom belongs to the accumulation of pristine awareness, and the remaining 3 belong to both. This concludes the perfect presentation of the 6 perfections. The 11th chapter of Ornament of Precious Liberation, a wish-fulfilling gem of sublime Dharma. So this each and every these perfections explained later. So that's why I read more today. Yeah, and also I think it's good for you to listen. You need a listening habit. Actually, you have very good habits, reading habits. For example, I saw many in the trains and bus. You read books or newspapers. You have a very good reading skill, reading habits, and now you need listening habits. Actually, perhaps you think, oh, there are many teachings, it's difficult to listen. Maybe it's possible you think, but perhaps you are not think that this is my thoughts. But you actually, the Buddhism is not Buddhist or Buddhism. Buddhist has no more large numbers. That's where it's related to other religions. Some other religions has amazing numbers of these those practitioners. So that's where we have a small environment, and then wherever teach Dharma, you can hear, you can see. That's where you thought, oh, there are lots of teachings. Otherwise, very few, There are no more Dharma teachers. There are no more these things. But however, you have to listen Dharma, and then listening Dharma has also 6 perfections. Especially you during this reading part, I think you have no more problem to understand when I read, because you are fluent in your language, in English language. So that's where you understand easily when you make some mistakes. So that's why, but I'm trying to trying to read clearly, but sometimes, of course, I could not. So you listen, and then when you listen, someone has a sleeping depression. Someone has a sleeping depression. So these brothers or sisters must listen Dharma. If you expect sleeping, you cannot. Even the sun is coming, the west mountain side, you're worried it comes up. Oh, tonight I cannot sleep. There is a saying in Tibet, some who cannot sleep well, they have long night. Night is very long. That's very true, because there's nothing to do. Everything is silence, very tranquility. Best thing is meditation, but cannot. So that's where, because the aspect to sleep into the blanket, that's where you turn these teachings. And don't focus about sleeping. I saw many these have sleeping problems, and they then come to the meditation and then fall asleep. I mean, I also happen. Actually, I don't have a sleep depression, but some cases in the night I was very fresh, and then doing different things, not for sleeping, and then morning during the practice, the sleeping comes. Exactly, it's kind of obstacles that. But so you listen this, not very loudly, just turn and then listen. It's then it's a greatly benefit. It's like a babysitter. Babysitter. Some babies, before they sleep, their parents sing a song, and then they start to sleep. Yeah, it's same thing. And also, then especially you listen songs, it only helps you to sleep, but it depends songs. Some songs has a good meaning, but generally if you listen to teachings and then you sleep, then the whole night your consciousness turn into virtue. So teachings are like a milk. So your consciousness is like a water. So into the water pour a milk, then it become milk water. Likewise, the whole night your consciousness, how to say, turned into virtue. So it has a great benefit. Even the dreams are going well, and everything goes well. That's where I think listening is important. I don't mean listen this only, okay? Any listens. Then especially the reading part, the explaining part, if you listen, not sure how much it help to sleep, But the reading part, you listen, then it greatly benefit for you. So, and then sleep means meditate. The concentration is important. You just turn this reading or teaching, and then your mind is just travel to the travel around the world. Then it doesn't benefit. So concentration is important. Yeah, you meditate, focus in the teachings. Then your mind come together. So when we start to meditate, we start to sleep. That means our concentration, our mind already scattered, but we bring together. That's where if we are not combined with attentiveness, then we fall asleep. Yeah. So that's where it helps you before you sleep. In the daytime, you have lots of work. You have no time to listen that. Every night time, after you meditate and your daily practice done, and then turn this and then listen. I think it benefit. Okay. Now we stop here and let us dedicate. Chancho semjo rembo je ma je ba nam je 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 ba nyam ba me ba ya go ne gong de be war jo.
May bodhicitta, the precious and supreme mind, arise in whom it has not yet arisen. Where it has arisen, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher.
Thank you so much. May you have a happy, long life.